Hi everyone and welcome back to Carla. In today's video, Claus puts in the final piece of the bottom of the keel. He also gets busy in the workshop making a new trolley to move all the welding equipment back and forth between the boat and the workshop more easily. Once that's done, he moves on to fitting the bigger piece of plate going into Carla next. If you're enjoying following the build and want to help us keep the project going, don't forget to like, subscribe and join us on Patreon for early ad-free access to all of our videos. Alright, let's get back to work.
Well, it's time to put in the last piece. As you saw, I just drew up the lines where we're going to cut it. It's much easier to cut it over here where we have the table and everything. So let's cut it and see if it fits. Okay, so I lined it up. I had to use some small wedges to keep the right distance up to the frame. because as you can see here, the old frame, the old bottom and the old frame didn't fit all the way together. Of course, I might be able to squeeze this up and get it a little closer, but I want to connect these first and then press it up against the frame and then maybe weld it on. It doesn't have to touch it all the way, but I want it a little bit closer than we have over there. Also, I ground these notches into the frame so that I'll be able to get a better weld, and I'll be able to weld in under the frame to make sure we get a good weld all the way over. So yeah, I think we're there. Now I'll just put some small welds onto it so it stays where it is, and then we'll measure again. If that's good, we'll do a full weld and then have a look again. Well, one more done and the keel is now hole again all the way out. I'm super satisfied with this because I ended up doing a full weld instead of just spacing them out like they are some other places in the boat. I only had a little trouble where I connected the two plates right under the frame in there. I didn't really get a good enough burn through, so I ended up using the grinder from underneath and just welding in again from underneath. But yeah, super satisfied, and now we can get on to the next project. Well, now that we have the bottom of the keel back in, it's time to close up some of this big hole finally. And I think we'll divide it into two pieces. This side, I don't have any sheets that's wide enough for the whole thing, so we have to divide it, and I think this would be the best place to do it because this is where it kind of like transitions into something bigger. So we might as well close this part or this section first and then make a bigger plate for this one. Over here we might have to knock away this concrete as well, or not might have to, we are going to knock away this concrete. I think I'll cut the hole a little bigger, and then we can remove the concrete, have a good look in there, and then patch it up with one big plate here in the end. And then of course we still need to replace this part of the hull. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's make a plate that fits this hole. Well, when I measured it out, I found out that only making the small plate out of it would be way too wasteful. I would have a piece here that I didn't know what to do with. So I might as well make it a bit bigger, but then it's not tall enough to go all the way up to the hull or to the edge. So I will have to make a small wedge to weld onto it on the top. But yeah, that's how it goes. I better not be too wasteful with the steel sheets because I only have one more. I think I have to order yet another one before we are finished with the hull, but yeah, we might as well use as much as possible and not make stupid cuts. So this is how we're going to do it. Now I'll see if I can lift it over there and try to fit it on the boat. Well, it actually looks really good. I had hoped, I don't know why, I thought I would get all the way over to this notch, but apparently I didn't. I don't know, I made some kind of calculating mistake. Miscalculation, I think, yeah, there it is. I'll just have to take the grinder and grind off some welds, so that we can see if it fits. Now the keel, as I was talking about earlier, is not straight, not at all. So either we have to push up the keel to meet the plate, or we have to grind away some of the plate to meet the keel. I don't know. I don't really know yet. Maybe I'll try putting a jack under it, because it's only right here. Putting a jack under it and just pushing a little bit. If we can make it straight, perfect. If not, we'll have to grind some away. But it's only 2 millimeters, that's why. It's a bit too high, but I knew that because I made it at least 5 millimeters too high or too wide. And this end actually fits quite nicely, because there was a bit of an angle on this sheet from the earlier cut over there in the workshop. But there is an angle on the cut in the boat as well, over here. So they actually match up pretty well. Now I'll just have to find something to hold it up there while I draw on it, so we can get it to fit 100%. So first we'll take the grinder and grind away the welds. Yeah, let's do that. Still have more on my fingers. Okay. just cheated a little bit. I squeezed it up against, and then I went into the boat and I just used a marker and marked the corner. So now when I take down the plate again, I can see where to cut the round corner. So it's falling again now. I would like to have some kind of crane or something that could help me with this, but I really don't see how to do it. The only way to do it would be to weld an eye on the back of the plate and then have a hoist inside the boat to keep it up there. But it would get hard to get down and cut off the eye again afterwards. So I think I'll manage. Erland is calling. They've just come home from school, so I better go. Yeah? Well, I want to make a new wagon for the welder and for the mixed argon CO2 bottle as well. Sometimes I go back and forth between the boat and the workshop, and I want the welder both places. So I want to make a seat for the welder on the back of the wagon, because today it started raining and I wanted to bring everything indoors quickly, but I couldn't. I had to pack up the welder and yeah, all the lines and everything. So I want to make this so that it's always attached to this one. Of course I want it to be able to come off, but yeah. So let's see what we can do. Ja. Ja.
Jeg glemte lidt over højt trin.
Okay, so we have the welder on the wagon now. The bottle is secure. The welder is actually quite secure as well. You can tip it over quite far before the welder falls off. But I want to make it absolutely safe up there. So I want to make a hook that hooks onto the welder here, and then around this bar up here. That'll prevent the welder falling off. And also on this hook I want to make another hook that points upwards, where you can roll up your wires and put them on the, so a multi hook. Okay, now that's a huge upgrade. Even my multi-hook worked perfectly. The welder is nice and secure, and now I can drive around with the whole thing, and if it starts to rain I can just pack up and take it back inside. Absolutely perfect. At least for as long as I'm working on the ground around the boat, this will do. When we get back on the boat, yeah, well, I'll have to carry it again, but we'll see about that. Perfect. Why is it that every time you end up here having to hold it, everything is perfect? You just need a marker, and then you realize that you changed your pants and the markers are all in the other pants. Why? If you could just like have a marker in every pair of pants you have, but you have to take them out to wash the pants. I know this is small problems, but I really need it right now. Okay. Anyways, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to see how well it fits. As you know, and as I've been talking about before, we need 2 millimeters all the way around for the weld. So these cutting discs, I don't know, can you see them? These cutting discs, they are 2 millimeters. So I put it onto those, so I know that I have 2 millimeters in the bottom. Over here, well, it doesn't really matter because we can just shift the plate a little bit. We can make this 2 millimeters. The most important thing is that it's even all the way, and it is. But up here, as you can see, I ground the corner round, and here it's okay, but I just need to take some of the top of the corner, and then maybe take a little bit more here. But when we grind the hull, grind an edge on the hull, we'll also take some off. So I don't want to do it on the plate yet, because I'll just end up having too big a gap. And one thing that's worse than having too small a gap is having a gap that's too big, because yeah, I think you know why. It's hard to close up again. So I think now I'll have to take some of this corner off, but otherwise I think we're almost there. So I will grind the edge, grind an angle to the edge of the hull now, and then we'll fit it again and see where we are.
But as you see, Claus is grinding away, but for all the welding, that will have to wait until the next video, where we finally get to put some metal back in. But for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.